All right, today we're diving into the story of a prophet named Elisha and two events from his life that honestly could not seem more different. We're talking about a minor workplace accident on one hand and a full-blown international military crisis on the other. So you've got to ask, what could possibly connect these two things?
Yeah, it's a great question, right? I mean, on the surface you'd say absolutely nothing. But as we're about to see, these two completely different stories actually show us two sides of the very same incredible power. And they really force us to ask a big question. What does true strength really look like?
So let's meet our central figure. This is Elisha, a prophet in ancient Israel who was known for some pretty extraordinary acts. We're going to look at two of his most fascinating miracles. One is super small and personal, and the other, it's huge, vast, and geopolitical.
Okay, so let's start small. I want you to forget about kings and armies for a minute. Our first story, it just begins with a simple construction project. It's a scene that feels incredibly ordinary, totally relatable.
So you've got this group of prophets, and they realize their meeting place is just too small. So what do? Exactly what you or I would do. They decide to expand. They all head down to the Jordan River, axes in hand, ready to chop down some wood for a new building. It's basically just a community project, you know? Simple manual labor.
And then disaster strikes. As one of the guys is swinging an axe, the iron head just flies right off the handle and sinks into the river. You can just feel the panic in his voice when he cries out, "Look, back in the Iron Age, a tool like this was super expensive. It was a professional's livelihood, so losing it was bad enough, but losing a borrowed one? Oh, that was a total disaster of debt and reputation."
So the man shows Elisha where it fell at. And Elisha, well, he doesn't dive in, he doesn't grab a magnet, he just cuts a stick, tosses it into the water right at that spot, and the iron axe head completely defies the laws of physics and just floats to the surface. And just like that, a really personal, stressful problem is solved with this quiet, small-scale miracle. Okay, now let's zoom all the way out. We're shifting gears big time, from a lost tool to an entire nation at war. The scale is about to get so much bigger because Elisha suddenly finds himself right in the middle of this high-stakes conflict between the king of Aram and the king of Israel. What's going on here is basically supernatural espionage. It's wild. The king of Aram gets together with his officers, they set up a secret ambush, and then somehow Elisha knows the entire plan. He sends a warning to his own king, basically saying, "Hey, don't go there," and time again, Israel completely avoids the trap. So the king of Aram is, as you can imagine, absolutely furious. He's totally convinced he has a traitor, a mole somewhere in his ranks. But then, one of his officers explains the unbelievable truth. He says, "Look, there's no mole. It's this prophet, Elisha, who is somehow hearing your most secret military plans, even the words you speak in your own bedroom."
Well, the king's reaction is swift, and it is massive. I mean, think about it. If one single person is the source of all your problems, you don't send a small team, right? No way. You send an army. And that's exactly what he does. He dispatches horses, chariots, a huge force, all heading to the city of Dothan with one single objective: capture the prophet. And so the stage is set for this incredible confrontation. An entire army versus one man and his servant, and they're completely surrounded under the cover of night. So imagine this. Elisha's servant wakes up the next morning, he steps outside, and he's met with just this terrifying sight. The whole city is completely surrounded by an enemy army. His reaction? It's exactly what yours or mine would be. Just pure panic. He cries out, "What are we going to do?" They are hopelessly, completely trapped. But Elisha, he's perfectly calm, and he says something that at the time must have sounded like it made absolutely no sense. He just says, "Don't be afraid." Then he tells his terrified servant that their side actually outnumbers the enemy. Now remember, it's just the two of them against an entire army. How could that possibly be true? So Elisha prays for his servant's eyes to be opened, and in an instant the servant sees what Elisha saw all along. He sees the reality behind reality. The hills all around them aren't empty at all. No, they're blazing with a divine army, horses and chariots of fire, a massive, overwhelming heavenly force, and it's all there protecting them. So as the Aramean army starts to advance, Elisha says another simple prayer. And get this, he doesn't ask for them to be zapped or destroyed by those fiery chariots. He just asks for them to be struck with blindness. And instantly, the entire invading force is just disoriented and helpless.
Now, this is where the story really could have ended, right? Enemy defeated, problem solved. But this is where we get the most stunning and unexpected part of the whole story. The narrative just pivots from this intense confrontation to something else entirely.
Elisha literally just walks up to this confused, blind army and says, "Hey, follow me. I'll take you to the man you're looking for." And then he leads the entire enemy force on a journey, right into the heart of Samaria, the capital city of his own kingdom.
So when the king of Israel sees this, the entire enemy army miraculously delivered right into his hands. His first instinct is a military one, of course. He eagerly turns to Elisha and asks for permission to just slaughter them. I mean, this is the ultimate victory, right? A chance to wipe out his enemies in one single decisive blow.
And Elisha's response is just this shocking, direct command: do not kill them. He just completely shuts down the king's expectation of violence. That same power that revealed a secret army of fire and blinded an enemy, it's now going to be used for a very, very different purpose.
Instead, Elisha lays out this incredibly unconventional strategy. He tells the king, don't harm them, feed them. And not just, give them some scraps. No, he says to prepare a great feast for them, show them radical hospitality, and then just send them home.
So what happens? What does this crazy act of mercy actually achieve? Well, the king does it. He throws the feast, he sends the captured army away, and the story tells us that the Aramaean raiding parties just stopped coming into Israel. Think about that. The war wasn't ended by some great bloody battle, but by a great feast. Peace was achieved not through force, but through an absolutely astonishing act of grace.
So let's bring it all back together. What do we have? We've got two completely different problems: a small personal crisis, a lost, borrowed tool that's solved with a miracle of restoration, making things whole again. And then we have a massive national crisis, an invading army, solved with a miracle of mercy that actually created peace. It's the same exact power, but it's not used to destroy. It's used to restore and to reconcile. And that really just leaves us with a final thought, doesn't it? These stories, from thousands of years ago, they present a really provocative question for us today. When we're faced with any problem, whether it's big or small, what do we really believe is the ultimate expression of power? Is it the force that lets you conquer and destroy? Or is it the strength it takes to show mercy and to restore?